Hello again, everybody, and welcome into Season 1, Episode 7 of Champion Brothers ChampCast, Bubba's Big Broadcast, or...
Let's talk some Southern Gospel.
Yes, indeed.
Good to be
have
back
everybody
again.
with us. Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Oh, see, I blew it. Yeah, right off the bat.
Did you
That's
really?
Neil over
That's
there.
Chris right there.
Okay, yeah. It's fun when you get back to right is left and left is right. But anyway.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Full disclosure, look up in the upper right-hand corner and you'll see pre-recorded because we are recording this on, what is tonight, Neil? Tuesday night.
I think it's Tuesday, yeah.
And we'll set this up to go out on Thursday night. So just keep that in mind. We still encourage you to comment. We'll talk a little bit more about that in just a few minutes, but one or both of us and several of our friends and family will probably be monitoring it, so we'll see it, and we might can even answer some of your comments, but encourage you to do that, and we appreciate you tuning in once again. It's mind-blowing, Neil, the number of people that I've run into over the last few weeks. It's commented, when it's saying, hey, man, I've been watching you and your brother.
Same here. I couldn't believe anybody wanted just to listen to me and you babble on about our childhood and beyond. That's what we've basically been doing. But people are interested in Southern gospel music, and people that knew us and relate to some of these stories, I guess, and enjoy them. So,
Yes.
We'll just keep babbling. How about that?
That's fine with me. We have actually, Neil does a really good job of show notes every week, and we kind of have an idea. And here again, full disclosure, we don't have a guest this week, but we're just going to sit here and talk about some random topics. You sent me a list of about 37 different items that we could talk about, and we're going to pull from that, and who knows what's going to happen before this time is over tonight. And we don't know.
Right.
Again, we never know when we start how long we're going to go. We just go until that's enough for this week. So.
Right. Yeah. Well, we're not to the point of having big, humongous corporate sponsors and having big long commercials during these yet, but
that's true.
We do have a commercial ourselves, and that is we want you to remember these events that we're going to be hosting. A lot of you supported the Dixie Echoes back in March, and then our next one is going to be in July. Going to have the Lefevre Quartet coming to Fayette, Alabama, back to the Fayette Civic Center. Lefevre Quartet, solid 4-part harmony, Southern gospel music. If you like that kind of music, you're going to love the Lefevre Quartet. If you've never seen them in person, great time. No time like July 23rd to come and be with us. Again, it'll be no admission charge. Just like before, you will have the opportunity to give to support the continuing of these events. We'll start at 6 o'clock that night, July the 23rd. So if you hadn't written it down, do so. Tell other people. Come out, join us. Enjoy the Lefevre Quartet, along with the host groups, Faithful Friends and Chosen Witness. We'll be doing a few, of course. And, just come out, and we'll just carry on from there.
I tell you what, I just pulled it up, but we've talked a little bit about the Lefevre Quartet, and let's see. I think we got the picture here handy right quick. We'll pull that up and show you who they are. But I was looking back and getting some of their music and listening to it, and there they are. And one of their earlier albums was called Something Familiar, and they did a bunch of just that, familiar songs. So how about we just you want to start off with an up-tempo? Can we just do some Lefevre Quartet music right off the bat?
Please do. I'm always ready for some Lefevre Quartet music.
Because I'm seeing this list, and there's about 18 different ones that I want to play. But I think I want to play this one right here. It's called He Sent Me Running, Lefevre Quartet.
He set a fire beneath my feet and sent me running. Fed me on milk and honey sweet and sent me running. No time to walk, no time to walk, no time to stand around idle. You gotta run on home, gotta win the title. There been times along my journey when the storms they blocked my way, and there been days it seemed the victory was a million miles away. Just like Paul, I wanna run this race, I wanna fight a good fight, I wanna keep the faith. Till I enter in the heavenly rest, I gotta keep running. Say, are you tired? Oh yes, I'm tired, but I gotta keep running. Do you grow weary? Yes, I I gotta keep moving. I run this gospel track, can't let this old world turn me back. Wearisome journey's almost o'er, I gotta keep running. He set a fire beneath my feet and sent me running. Fed me on milk and honey sweet and sent me running. No time to walk, no time to walk, no time to stand around idle. You gotta run on home, gotta win the title. There've been times along my journey when the storms they block my way, and there've been days it seemed the victory was a million miles away. And just like Paul, I wanna run this race, I wanna fight a good fight, I wanna keep the faith till I enter in the heavenly rest. I gotta keep running. Say, are you close? Oh yes, I'm close, can't be much farther. Are you gonna make it? Yes, I will, I'm running harder.
Made it through the darkest night, the Lord and I, we fought the fight. Troubles and trials I'm leaving behind,
I gotta keep running. Well, he set a fire beneath my feet and sent me running. Fed me on milk and honey sweet and sent me running. No time to walk, no time to walk, no time to stand around idle. You gotta run on home, gotta win the title. There've been times along my journey when the storms they blocked my way, and there've been days it seemed the victory was a million miles away.
just like Paul.
Like Paul, I wanna run this race, I wanna fight a good fight, I wanna keep the faith till I enter in the heavenly rest. I gotta keep running. Say, are you tired? Oh yes, I'm tired. Do you grow weary? Yes, I do. Say, are you close? Oh yes, I'm close. Are you gonna make it? Yes, I will. Trouble and trials I'll leave behind, I gotta keep running.
That's a good way to start off. The Lefevre Quartet and Gotta Keep Running. That's a good toe tapper to get us all started out tonight, Neil.
Definitely agree.
We got
Definitely.
some different things we got to do here and that and that. There we are. Hey, welcome back.
Yeah, I could even come back. Yeah.
I don't know if I'm sending subliminal messages or not, but I've got, champions right here on my shirt.
There you go.
Atlanta Braves, but
That's all right. I'll take it.
which it's too bad we can't do future broadcasts instead of past because they're winning 13-3, but that's Tuesday night because we're pre-recorded tonight. So
That's right.
chop on, baby.
Yeah. Chop, chop.
We have got a bunch of stuff like we mentioned earlier that from back in the Columbians and the Bama Boys days, and we kind of talked a little bit about the Columbians and how we came to be a part of them with Ken Cook back in the mid-'70s at Opryland when we had the meet up with them. But a little bit later on, and help me, Neil, I can't, was it a 1948 Greyhound
I believe that the
bus?
Greyhound bus. Yeah, I think so.
I want to say, and you may know this better than I do, but my first vehicle, I think, was a 1948 pickup truck.
It was 40s or maybe early 50s. Yeah. Yeah. Chevrolet. Yeah.
Okay.
Chevrolet
Was
truck.
it? Okay. Maybe I was getting the bus and my truck confused, but I
Oh,
always
okay.
thought that both of them was 48. But
Well,
anyway,
it might have been. Anyway.
but we had some adventures on that bus, didn't we?
Oh, we did. First of all, we thought we something climbing on the bus.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Second of all, at times we probably looked like the Clampetts climbing on their truck, climbing on that old bus, And sometimes when the baseball bat got out to try to knock it into gear right and get down the road, that'd make you even think more like it's like the Clampetts. But yeah, it was some fun times for sure.
And I think
For
the
sure.
air conditioning in that bus worked a grand total of about 2 hours over the year or two that we rode with.
That's
the
right.
Columbians on it.
Yeah, we had some roasting trips in there for sure. For sure. Yeah, I remember the trip to even get that bus. It was me and Dad, and then Ken and his son Greg actually made the trip. We got there. I think it was around Haleyville, I think is where the bus was, the people we bought it from. And we got there that night. I don't remember if it was like Dad had worked a second shift or something. But we went late. I remember it was late when we went up there.
and this is one of those I'm stunned that I remembered and you don't, but I was on that trip too. Because we went in the blue Mercury Montego, and Daddy got pulled over in Fayette at 5 Points.
I think we did. You are right. My good. I think you slept most of it, and that's why I forgot you was there. I think you laid down.
Probably
Because
so,
we
but I
drove home
remember.
overnight. You know, it was about sunup when we got back home.
And it was like, where was it? Was it Hanceville?
Maybe
Or
it was
something?
Hanceville. I said Haleyville, but yeah, I think Hanceville's
I
probably
think it
more
was
like
like
it.
Hanceville, if I remember
Yeah,
right. But I
yeah.
just remember that trip, and we were so excited that the Columbians was getting a bus. So,
That's right, for sure. But I wasn't excited enough to stay awake because about 2/3 of the way home, I was about to fall asleep at the wheel of that Montego when we stopped, and Ken had to come from the bus. He was riding, Daddy was driving it home, and Ken was riding. And he came back and drove the car the rest of the way home while I got on the bus. So, you remember that part?
oh yeah, I think I do. I think I do. And I don't know why, but to this day, I live in Fayette now,
Yeah.
and most every day at some point in the day, my journey will take me through the 5 Points area of Fayette, which is just that. There's five
Yeah.
different little spurs off of an intersection.
Right.
And just about every single time I go through there, I think, yeah, that's where Daddy got pulled over and we was going to get the bus.
What you
And
remember?
I can't remember if he got a ticket or not. But I want to say he did, but I'm not positive.
I didn't even remember it until you mentioned it, and then it's like, oh yeah, he did, didn't he? But I hadn't. That wasn't a part I even remembered. So
And I was just remember because I think it was probably for rolling through the stop sign there.
it was. It was just a rolling stop. Yeah. Yeah.
But it was like the middle of the night or real late at night. I don't know if it was pre or post midnight, but I remember it was late. But
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
are you
well.
kidding me right now?
The old bus.
Yep.
Yep. And
And then there were some adventures that had directly to do with the bus too.
there was, yeah.
Brakes maybe.
Oh man, thank the Lord that He sent Mr. Wade Brown our way. That was friends with Dad and became friends with all the Columbians. And he was a marvelous mechanic, including diesel mechanic. And he started going with us and driving that thing and helping us keep that thing rolling down the road. But there was this one time where we had been
Wade right there, next to Mark, second from the right side.
Second from the right, Mr. Wade Brown. Yeah.
Yep.
We had sung over in Mississippi somewhere, and it was one of those hot Sunday afternoons, and we were headed back home. And this was a church. You had to go down the dirt road to get there, gravel road. And I think we pretty much got to the top of this one hill and started down the other side. And the first time Wade went to hit the brakes to slow down, he realized we didn't have any brakes. And we were headed down that hill. And, of course, I don't even know that we knew this until they finally got stopped. And then they told us, that there weren't any brakes, because he did a great job of keeping it maneuvered just right and getting down to a place where he could pull over and roll to a stop. And then he got them going again. It had something to do with, his air brake somehow. And there's something to do with, there was a air leak, and he got it fixed and got them back going for us to get home. But yeah, going down a gravel road in Mississippi with no brakes on the bus, that was quite a memory. And at 110 degrees inside the bus, probably.
I was looking back. All I've got is Bama Boys records back there. I was going to show the back of it because we probably have you got it handy or?
I don't think I do.
I don't think I've got it where I can pop it up on the screen. But yeah, that was some times
for sure.
And then I remember the time that we went on a Sunday afternoon. It was up in North Mississippi, wasn't it? We again, seemed like it was the middle of summertime and all that kind of thing, and we had to go down a gravel road and across the old rickety bridge, and like, oh yeah.
Oh, the one we realized we got there late.
We wasn't supposed to be there, so.
Yes, we pulled up and there was cars all around, and we were just going to be singing in the afternoon, I think, that day, if I remember right.
We thought we were anyway.
Or we thought we were. So we pull up, and somebody gets off the bus and goes in to talk about where to unload like we normally do. And they went inside, and there wasn't a soul in the church, but there's all these cars outside and nobody's there. And thank goodness we didn't do what we always did, and that is just go ahead and start unloading the bus and hauling the stuff in, and we didn't do that. And just a few minutes later, here came people back, mostly walking, because they had been over a little rise and down at a cemetery they had a funeral at the church that morning, and they were coming back from the graveside. We were supposed to have been there the week before, so we were no shows the week before for their all day singing.
Yeah.
But oh my goodness, I was so glad that we didn't go ahead and start unloading. If we'd have been there, PA going and tuning up, and then the people come back from their funeral, I'm not sure how that would have been received. But the fact that we were a week late was bad enough. But
yep, and I think that still haunts Ken Cook to this day. Even now,
I think it does.
So you make sure that we call and confirm it before we go anywhere.
Yeah, and I can just tell him don't sweat it, because no matter how hard you try, something like that's going to happen every now and then, no matter how hard.
Absolutely.
Speaking of Ken Cook,
we ought to be brothers or something.
We ought to.
Each other's sentences. Go ahead. I know where you're going with this.
Now, one of my favorite songs that Ken Cook used to sing, I think it was on that Red Coat album, the New Columbians, Here They Come.
No, this one was on.
Was it on the second one? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, it was on that one you showed a while ago. That Old Ship's Gonna Sail Again, the Green album. But I always thought Ken did a marvelous job. And, I never heard this song except Ken Cook and the Columbians singing it. Like I didn't even know anybody else had ever sung it. It was just a Columbian song to me. And I always love, and what a message in I Saw a Man.
Let's listen to it. Here's the Columbians. Like I said, here's the Columbians. Wait a minute. I knew I was going to do this. I just forgot to turn it up. There we go. Turn it up, Lester. Now let's hear it. Here we go.
There we go.
I have often wondered who could be so cruel to hang my Lord upon a rugged tree. And then I chanced to pass an old looking glass. There I saw the man staring back at me. I saw the eyes that turned aside. I saw the lips that sadly whispered, crucified. I saw the feet that walked in sin, and I saw the hands that drove the nails in him. I saw the man that crucified my Lord. If you could ever wonder about the sacrifice he made, about the pain and the suffering he went through, then if you could chance to pass an old looking glass, won't that be some reflection on you? You'll see the eyes that turned aside. You'll see the lips that sadly whispered, crucified. You'll see the feet that walked in sin, and you'll see the hands that drove the nails in him. You'll see the man that crucified my Lord. I am that man that crucified my Lord.
The Columbians and I Saw the Man. Neil, I got the boys in research and development to do some research. Did you know? You mentioned that you didn't know who had done that song before the Colombians. Did
Right.
you know?
I
Have you
don't.
looked it up?
I don't. I never have looked it up even.
I just looked it up, and I didn't know this either. The Happy Goodmans did it. Rusty Goodman wrote that song.
Really?
Yep.
I did not know that.
So since this is our show and we can do whatever we want to,
That's right. We sure
you
can.
want to, and I think this is going to work. I don't know, but I just found it. You want to hear the Happy Goodman's version of "I Saw the Man"?
I would love to. Let's hear
All
the
right.
original. Yeah.
Let's see. Let me do this, and then let's hear this.
I often wonder who could be so cruel to hang my Lord upon a rugged tree. But then I chanced to pass an old looking glass, and there I saw the man staring back at me. I saw the eyes that turned aside. I saw the lips that sadly whispered, "Crucify." I saw the feet that walked in sin. I saw the hands that drove the nails in him. I saw the man that crucified the Lord. Let me ask you a question now. Have you ever wondered about the sacrifice he made, about the pain and the suffering he went through? Well, if you should chance to pass some old looking glass, won't that be some reflection on you? You'll see the eyes that turn aside. You'll see the lips that sadly whispered, "Crucify." You'll see those feet that walked in sin, and you'll see your hands that drove the nails in him. You'll see the man that crucified the Lord. I was that man that crucified the Lord.
How about that? We had to keep the cameras on because y'all just got the real time reaction, I guess. Because that's the first time I've ever heard that song done by anybody but the Colombians.
That is the wildest thing. Yeah. I mean, Rusty did a pretty good job of covering that Colombian song. I hate to say.
Yeah, sure did. and I was listening hard. I mean, Sam Goodman, you talk about somebody that doesn't get the credit that they deserve.
Mm-hmm.
When you got people like Vestal, and I'm 98.6% sure that was Johnny Cook instead of Vestal on that recording. But how high Sam Goodman had to sing.
Right.
When you had, either Vestal or Johnny singing Up in the Clouds and then some. And I was just listening to that. I was like, man, Sam getting after it. But I think now that's just, that's the first time I have ever heard that song by anybody other than Colombians. But I'm
Me
fairly
too.
certain that was Rusty, Sam, Howard, and Johnny Cook. But that's
Yeah.
good stuff. I was looking to see
For
if
sure.
there's a couple of other versions that I found, but it says it's around 1974. I think it was originally on the legendary Goodman's album with Vestal, but like I say, I'm fairly certain that was Johnny Cook, and some of the other video recordings that I've seen of it, it is Johnny Cook singing on there.
Right.
But anyway,
Right.
that didn't cost y'all anything extra. I just felt like sharing that.
We're gonna have to give them boys in R&D a little raise or a little bonus or something. That was some good work, boy. That was
Indeed.
good.
But yeah, I was like, really, the Happy Good Ones, and I just,
Yeah.
it proves that we don't know everything. That's for sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that is
Speaking of
really,
not
really
knowing
cool.
everything, somebody that does know everything and
Mhm.
probably would be pleased to tell you is Brother Robert Folks. We have known him for ever and 6 days, it seems like. But,
We have.
we first met Robert, I guess, was it before? I mean, we knew him as a member of the Pace family before we knew him as a preacher of a church, didn't we?
Oh yeah, yeah. The Colombians crossing paths with the Pace family. Joe Pace and his family, and Brother Robert traveled with them, played guitar, and would sing a few, and that's where we first met him. Yeah, and man, what an impression that he made on you and I from the very beginning. Let me tell you. And yeah, like you say, then we learned that he was a preacher, so we didn't even realize that to start with.
And went to was at Gapman Baptist Church.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if you're from this area, if you're going from Sulligent to Amory, right after you cross the state line, Gapman Baptist Church is, not even a good rock throw off the side of the road. I mean,
Right.
there's about enough space for maybe 2 cars between the white line of the road and the front door of Gapman Baptist Church. But
Right.
used to have some memorable all-night New Year's Eve singings there. So.
For sure. Yeah.
And
Man.
when it came time to eat.
Oh yeah, at Gap. But yeah, Brother Robert would talk about they'd have a pot of stew every year, and he'd talk about how many trips he had to make from there to Aberdeen to pick up enough roadkill to get that stew made. And I remember my who would become my brother-in-law. He wasn't at the time, but he was ready to eat one night because him and his mom and dad and my future wife were there. That night, and he was ready to eat. His dad said, Ted Brazel, his dad, until Brother Robert started talking about that roadkill, and he didn't hardly know about eating any of that stew after that. That's one of Ted's favorite stories to tell on his boys. How he didn't hardly want any of that roadkill stew after that.
Speaking of future guests, we do need to get Brother Rodney in here one night. So
we will. I've actually run it by him about would it be possible, and he said, well, anything's possible. And he started giving me one of these evil kind of laughs. I said, now, wait a minute, buddy. Well, exactly what's going on in your mind, Brother Rodney? And he said, yeah, we can make it happen. And it's just like, there ain't no telling what he's liable to tell or say. But yeah, we definitely, he's been around a while.
In the last 2 or 3 days, I've either heard him or talked to him 2 or 3 times, but I woke up Saturday morning and happened to tune in to WJEC and the Saturday morning party line with Mayor Glenn Crawford. And who was the first voice I heard? Rodney Brazel. So I sent Neil a text. I said, Rodney Brazel is on party line. I have no words.
Yeah, that's things you didn't expect to hear when you got up that morning was Rodney on party line.
One of his girls is playing softball, and so they played over here yesterday. And, of course,
okay.
Everybody else, when it rains a little bit, like it did over here Monday morning,
right.
Immediately me working at the park, the phones go crazy at 10 o'clock in the morning. They're thinking, well, if it's rain, surely there's no way they're going to play ball games tonight. So Rodney was one of the 18,000 calls it seemed like that it took yesterday. So, have you heard they've been called off? Nope. Well, guess what? We're
probably hadn't.
I love and it's always fun trying to decide or tell other folks mine and Rodney's connection.
Oh yeah.
It's like, well, if my brother is married to his sister, what does that make us? Outlaws?
And bless his heart, he'd always try to talk about Loretta, who is his sister, and my wife, and he'd say, I'm her sister, and he'd always get it back, get sister and brother backwards when he's talking about. Oh,
he's come a long way.
Let's save that for when he comes on. We'll bring all that back up
all
later.
Right.
But
he is preaching now, and he's back in this area at Mount Harmony over in the High Togi area, or Hattaji if you're Matt Laubon from WWA. So
there you go. Prodigy.
Anybody
Okay.
ever get Matt straight on that? I need to check with him and see.
Yeah. But yeah, Rodney's been around Bama Boys and even remembers the Columbians for a long time. That family, as he's actually related to Mark Jones, who
Yeah.
played back then, and so he knew a lot of Brother Robert and them New Year's Eve singings, and then of course Brother Robert emceed our Bama Boys specials for years there, and Rodney was a part of a bunch of those, and but yeah, just when you just think about Brother Robert and the memories we have of him, it's just, I don't know, how do you narrow it down? But one of my earliest memories of Brother Robert was, we'd just been knowing them a year, maybe two, and Joe Pace invited the Columbians to come to their church there, and I believe in Amory, maybe, or was it Amory or Aberdeen outside? I believe it was Tranquil Methodist Church,
Yeah,
I think was the
so.
name of it.
Yeah.
He invited us there for a New Year's Eve singing. This was before Brother Robert was pastoring at Gatman and having them there. And so we were singing. Of course, I was just playing the guitar. Were you already playing drums then, or was that before you even started playing drums, or do you remember?
I'm not sure.
Okay, I'm sure you were there.
Columbians?
Hey, it was Bama Boys. That's right.
Bama Boys, yeah.
That's right. It was after Daddy had stopped singing with the Columbians and formed the Bama Boys. That's right. And he invited us over there to sing with them that New Year's Eve. So yeah,
I
you're
didn't
right.
start out playing drums with the Bama Boys, but I did later on. So
you're right. And the song I'm thinking about, was a song the Bama Boys. We sang as the Bama Boys, not the Columbians. So thanks for getting me back on the right track there. But we did a song.
Me a little bit that I'm the one doing the remembering that.
That's all right. I'm just letting you exercise your brain there. I'm telling you what I'm liable to throw out.
Thank you.
But we sang a song back then, the Bama Boys did, called "I Would Crawl All the Way to the River." And you would sing it at a New Year's Eve singing like that. You get singing, there usually be some eating, and somebody would be singing, and you'd stop right a few minutes before midnight. Yeah. And there'd be a word shared, a devotional, or even a little sermon. And that night, Brother Robert was going to share, and we were the ones singing. And the last song we did before the break, and Brother Robert taught, was "I'd Crawl All the Way to the River." And I will never forget Brother Robert. I mean, it's like he took that and went with it. There's no way he knew we were going to sing that song. Yeah. But that's what he talked about his love for Jesus, and about if he knew for sure that he was going to be at the river, on the banks of the river, you better believe he'd crawl all the way to get to see him in person, no matter how far it was. Or I don't know. It really impressed upon me that night what he said after we sang that song, and how he took it and shared it with the people leading into that new year, about just crawling all the way to the river where Jesus was. So is there any way we can dig that song up? Yeah, we recorded on that very first recording we did. We had cassettes and 8 tracks, and title "Where Are You?"
It's painful for me to listen to, because I didn't I sing the verses on this? And
actually, I sang a verse. I think
I can't remember, but there's something there. It's painful for me to listen to, because it was in that in between time that my voice was changing and all that.
But I think we changed keys on the last chorus, and you took the lead on the last chorus.
That's
I think.
It.
Yeah.
All right, now we're back on track. Neil's doing another remembering now. All right, let me see. Let me punch this button here and then punch this one, and let's just play it right quick.
A long time ago, there was a man who laid down his life on the line. He said he could make the lame walk again and give back the sight to the blind. Now some people loved him, some people wanted to take him and put him away. Well, I wasn't there to see what he did, but if he were right here today, I would crawl all the way to the river, I would crawl all the way to the sea, just to watch him walk on the water and lay his loving hand on me. A carpenter by trade, but the kingdom that he made was built without hammer and nails. It stands like a rock through the ages of time. It was built with love that never fails. I read in the good book that someday he's coming, and some say it ain't far away. But the day that he stands on the banks over Jordan, this sinner will be on his way. I would crawl all the way to the river. I would crawl all the way to the sea, just to watch him walk on the water and lay his loving hand on me. I would crawl all the way to the river. I would crawl all the way to the sea, just to watch him walk on the water and lay his loving hand on me. I would crawl all the way to the river. I would crawl all the way to the sea, just to watch him walk on the water and lay his loving hand on me, and lay his loving hand on me.
There you go. There's the Bama Boys, and I would crawl all the way to the river. And me and Neil's both trying to click stuff at the same time, and I just got your message, so give me a second.
Yeah,
We can set this one up. So.
that one is one that I do remember where it came from, because we learned it from listening to a recording of some guys that have done a lot of good gospel singing over the years. Now, a lot of people maybe don't like the fact that they sung a lot of other type music as well, namely country, but I've always loved the sound of the Oak Ridge Boys, and they would just about always put a gospel song on every album that they did. And one particular album was this song, I Would Crawl All the Way to the River. So that's where we first learned it. And then what you just heard was the Neil, Chris, and Mark band and the Bama Boys version of that song. But yeah, since we're doing the original cuts like we happened to do on that first one, let's do the same thing here. Let's listen to the Oak sing that song.
I'm still efforting. You just sent me a message that I didn't see until right before
That's all right. That's all right.
Was ended,
It'll take you a minute to pull it down. But I mean, every time I hear or think of that song, and a lot of people don't like to hear themselves sing, and I don't necessarily like to hear myself sing, but groups that I have been a part of, I always like to hear sing. And so I've listened to Columbians music, Bama Boys music, Chosen Witness music all the time. I always do. So I've heard that song a lot of times come up when I just say, just do the Bama Boys playlist, and I'll just listen, And every time I hear that song, I think of Brother Robert. That's who I associate with it. And the message and the devotional he delivered that night about crawling all the way to the river to get to see Jesus.
Now I think we got it. Let me see.
Okay.
I got to do a bunch of clicking and gazentas and all. But let's see. Yeah, here we go. Here's Oak Ridge Boys, and I would crawl all the way to the river.
A long time ago, there was a man who laid down his life on the line. He claimed he could make the lame walk again and give back the sight to the blind. Now some people loved him, some people wanted to take him, put him away. Well, I wasn't there to see what he did, but if he were right here today, I would crawl all the way to the river. I would crawl all the way to the sea, just to watch him walk on the water and lay his loving hand on me. A carpenter by trade, but the kingdom that he made was built without hammer and nails. It stands like a rock Through the ages of time, it was built with a love that never failed. I read in the good book that someday he's coming, and some say it ain't far away. But the day that he stands on the banks of the Jordan, this sinner will be on his way. I would cross all the way to the river. I would cross all the way to the sea, just to watch him walk on the water and lay his loving hand on me. I would cross all the way to the river. I would cross all the way to the sea, just to watch him walk on the water and lay his loving hand on me. I would cross all the way to the river. I would cross all the way to the sea, just to watch him walk on the water and lay his loving hand on me. When I said that I would cross all the way to the river, I would cross all the way to the sea, just to watch him walk on the water.
The Oak Ridge Boys, and I would crawl all the way to the river. That's good stuff right there now.
The Bama Boys sound.
There we go. Now, say that again.
A lot different than the Bama Boys sound, but it was
Yes.
it was still a good song. And
And
like
I'm
to hear
going
the
to
Oaks.
say this. You're going to do an whatever, but I don't care. But Don Breland, I'm there again, 99.2% sure that he was the bass guitar player with the Mighty Oaks band at that time, or in that thing. He had nothing on you.
Okay.
There was when I played our version a while ago, there's one lick in the middle of the verse that you hit, and it just tears me up every time. I was like, that boy can play some bass guitar now. I'm here to tell you.
Oh boy, boy, it was fun trying to figure it out. That's for sure.
But well, you had it figured out on that one, that's for sure too. So
You know what?
anyway.
There's this singing coming up. I got to mention it again for
Well,
sure.
yeah, you might as well.
Because it's coming up in July of this year on the 23rd, and the Lefevre Quartet's coming to town. One song that I've always loved to hear them do now, a lot of people are, especially Les and Real Southern Gospel Radio, which you're a part of, and which I love, Real Southern Gospel Radio. It's about the traditional sound, the quartet sounds. But Lefevre Quartet took a song that wasn't a traditionally quartet song, but boy, they just put Southern gospel all over it. And it's a song called Days of Elijah. That's a song you'll hear, might have come out of Maranatha music or Integrity music or something like that. Some of those praise and worship type music, but they got a recording of Days of Elijah that I always loved. And they made it Southern Gospel Quartet through and through. I don't know if they'll sing it on the 23rd. If we ask them, they might just, beg them, they might. But anyway, it was always a good song that I liked. But y'all come hear the Lefevre Quartet, July the 23rd. Y'all tell somebody to come. Y'all bring it in there. I've shared this before, but I just always had a dream of seeing that place. It's not a gigantic house where it holds thousands. It holds 350, 360, something like that. So I've always dreamed of seeing that thing packed out for a Southern gospel concert and just worshiping Jesus through that music. That's what we want to see happen. And that's our next attempt at it. And then once it gets full, we'll just see how many times in a row we can keep it full. Okay.
There you go.
But, come out and hear the Lefevre Quartet, July 23rd, Saturday night. No tickets to purchase. You will have an opportunity to support the cost of it, to give. And, I guarantee we'll have a good night. Faithful Friends, Chosen Witness will open up, and then it'll be a lot of good Lefevre Quartet music that night.
Like this one right here that Neil just talked about. Ask and ye shall receive.
Oh!
Days of Elijah from the Lefevre Quartet.
All right.
declaring the word of the Lord.
And these are the days of your servant Moses, righteousness being restored.
And though these are days of great triumph,
Of famine and darkness and sword,
still we are the voice in the desert crying, prepare ye the way of the Lord.
behold, he comes, riding on the clouds, shining like the sun. At the trumpet call, lift your voice. It's the year of Jubilee, and out of Zion's hill salvation
Oh, and these are the days of Ezekiel, the dry bones becoming his flesh.
Oh, and these are the days of your servant David, rebuilding the temple of praise.
And though these are days of the harvest, oh, the fields are as white in your word.
And we are the laborers in your vineyard, declaring the work of the Lord. Behold, he comes, riding on the clouds, shining like the sun. At the trumpet call, lift your voice. It's the year of Jubilee, and out of Zion's hill salvation comes. There's no God like Jehovah. 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 Behold, he comes, riding on the clouds, shining like the sun. At the trumpet call, lift your eyes. It's a year of Jubilee, and out of Zion's hill salvation comes. Behold, he comes, riding on the clouds, shining like the sun. At the trumpet call, lift your eyes. It's a year of Jubilee, and out of Zion's hill salvation comes. Lift your eyes. It's a year of Jubilee, and out of Zion's hill salvation comes. Out of Zion's hill salvation comes.
Lefevre Quartet and Days of Elijah. Who said you couldn't put a Southern Gospel spin on a 7-Eleven song? They sure can. That's good stuff right there.
Les would certify it real Southern gospel, but I guarantee you Les would certify it as good quartet music. So,
Yes, indeed.
for sure. Hey, tell the folks about Champ's Favorites, the show that
Okay.
you're doing on Real Southern Gospel Radio.
Yeah, it had its debut this past weekend, and it's just an idea that I had rolling around in my head for a bunch of years. And then when Les asked me to be a part of Real Southern Gospel Radio, I pitched it to him and said, "Hey, I've got this idea for this program," and he's like, "Yeah, man, do it." So here about, I don't know, it was in February, had the chance to sit down with Scoot Shellnut, and that was the program that debuted this past Saturday. And since then, I've had the opportunity to talk with all four members of the Inspirations. And what it is I get to talk with some of my favorite people while they talk about some of their favorite songs of Southern gospel music. And it's been surprising so far. I've just recorded the third episode with our buddy Steve Perkins, formerly of the Bishops. And that one will be right now, according to what Les told me, it's going to air on the second weekend of every month, the second Saturday and second Sunday of the month. And I've already got some other folks lined up to be on. And in fact, it's sitting right here. I'm just going to flash it, but I don't know if you can see that or not, Neil.
There it
That's
is.
That's Mr. Gerald Williams of the Melody Boys Quartet. He sent me his list the other day, so
Oh, that'll
we're
be
going to be
great.
talking with him. And got Jim Cumby, who was the owner of what is now Singing News Radio. Back then, it was Solid Gospel Radio, and he's had an interesting career in and out of gospel music, and so he's lined up to be a guest here before too awfully much longer. But yeah, it's neat getting to talk with these folks and finding out, some of their favorite songs. Scoot had some that surprised me a little bit. Not giving too much away, but when I had the chance to have all four current members of the Inspirations on one program, I would have liked to have dug deeper with some of them and may get to go back and do that later on. But Isaac Moore, the tenor singer, just floored me, because the two songs that he had, one was a more recent Inspiration song that was never released as a single to my knowledge, and the other one was the original Kingsman Quartet, and from 1957 with the McKinney brothers. And he talks about how he's gotten to be friends with Raymond McKinney, one of the surviving members of the original Kingsman. And to add more intrigue to it, it's a song that was written by Eldridge Fox before Eldridge Fox became a member of the Kingsmen.
Man, that's got all kinds of.
I'm turning to look at my
pieces.
calendar here, but I
cool.
think I think that will be May 14th and 15th.
Okay.
That's not official yet, but
Right.
if he goes with the second Saturday and Sunday, I think that show will air on May 14th and 15th. So.
Yeah, that's a very intriguing concept. And yeah, like I said, I just love to think about, well, what's going to be the next song? What are they going to like next? And what are they going to say about it? Why do they like it? And this is kind of odd because it's Champ's favorites. It's like supposed to be your favorite people.
Right.
And so I don't know how I can request that somebody be one of your favorite people. But I heard a little station break on Real Southern Gospel the other day that was a voice that I thought, it'd be cool if that was one of Chris's favorite people. And we played him just a while ago, and that's Joe Bonzel of the Oak Ridge Boys. I wonder if Les could hook you up, or you may even be buddies with him. I just didn't know it. But
no, I mean, I sent a tweet. He wrote an Oak Ridge Boys book a few years ago. And I tweeted something, I can't remember what it was, but something to do with the book. And he's very active on social media. So
right.
We might make that happen. I told Les, Don Reed of the Statler Brothers is on his board of advisors. And I told him, I said, Les, the only perk that I want out of this job, I want to get to meet Don Reed. See, I've never met Joe Bonzel either. But yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah, it'd be really
to have both of those guys on. Or I did have a chance to meet Richard Sturban back when I worked with the Nashville Sounds baseball team, because Richard's a big baseball fan and was a part owner of the Sounds at one time. But yeah, man, I had to make that list and get to work on it. So.
Okay.
And you don't know it yet, but Neil Champion's going to be a guest on Champ's Favorites.
Oh, good grief.
Rather than later. Yes,
I don't know anybody wants to hear my favorite song.
Well,
so
I do. So it's my show. I can do whatever I want.
Do I have to limit it to 50 songs or what?
Well, no, I mean,
they're all my favorites.
I talked about Steve when I was talking to him and asked him about it. And he's like, yeah. And probably about an hour after we hung up the phone, he sent me a list of about 35 songs. And he said, wow, I can't do this. And then about a week later, he sent me one that had about 12. And I'm here to tell you, when I did the interview with Steve, I think it was last Wednesday evening, but when I finished recording, I had about 2 hours and 15 minutes of just talking with Steve.
Oh,
And
cool.
that's without playing any of the songs, any of the song titles.
Wow.
So I've got my editing work cut out for me, but I've started in on some of that. But
Yeah.
that's going to be an interesting one because a lot of Steve's favorites had a lot to do with the bass playing because he was the bass player for the Bishops and did
Right.
front porch singing.
Right.
But yeah, there was some interesting selections on there too that I never would have thought about. So yeah, it's just been a fun little journey to get to do and get to and I can't wait. I'm sitting here looking at Mr. Gerald's list, and I was like, "There's already a couple of those there that I was like, that's interesting." So I
Yeah.
can't wait to get to talk to him and find out,
I
why
bet.
is that in your favorite? So,
Yeah. We played the Southerners quartet that we knew back in the Columbian days here a few weeks back, and I remember the bass player with them was Charlie Thornell, Philip Thornell's brother Charlie,
yeah,
and boy, he could make a bass talk. I need to sometime get Steve Perkins to analyze Charlie Thornell's bass playing on that Southerners record, see what he thinks about it.
he may know him for.
He might, yeah, because
Steve
boy,
knows about everybody.
he could sure play a bass guitar, no doubt.
And then we were stunned when, after we got off of the broadcast, when we were talking about the Southerners of the night, come to find out that their guitar player is Randy Pennington that sings bass for Faithful Friends and known him all of our lives, but that's his uncle, Travis Pennington.
Completely blew me away. You talking
You know,
about small world.
Yeah, I just kept looking around waiting for that Disney song to start playing. It's a small world.
Yeah, we did not have a clue back then. I just knew
Yeah.
I couldn't even remember his last name. I was pretty sure
Yeah.
it was Mr. Travis. I remembered Travis.
Yeah.
And then Randy comes back and said, "Yeah, that's my uncle."
Yeah.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
wild.
A lot of good memories. Hard to believe we've already spent almost an hour on this one, but when we said we wasn't
Yeah.
going to go that long, but that's just what happens when we start talking about the good old days.
It is. And coming up, we got some more. I want to bring back some more of the Bryant trio we talked about, Mr.
Yeah.
And we got more of that music, some singing Bryants. We'll bring back some Bryant brothers. Another group that was in the Lamar County area that maybe we didn't cross paths with as much was the McKay family. And I come across an album of the McKay family the other day. I'm gonna see if we can't talk some of that. Yeah, because a girl in my class wound up marrying into the McKay family, I remember. And we'll make that Lamar County connection too one week and play some of the McKay family's music.
And
But
then we
yeah,
spur off and do the State Line Harmoniers and the Crownsmen. And
absolutely. There was a lot of good music around that area.
in my day job, working for Park and Rec and the Aquatic Center, we started booking the private parties for the water park a couple weeks ago.
Mhm.
And a lady called in and got talking to her, and she said, "Well, you probably know my brother. He's Jason Clark, the principal over at Lamar County High School in Vernon." And I said, "Yeah." And I said, you probably get tired of hearing this just like I did when through the years. Well, you probably, when you saw me last, you were probably about 4 or 5 years old because her dad, Tony Clark, played with the Crownsmen.
Okay.
Bass.
Tony, yeah.
And so,
Okay.
more small world talk that
Wow.
comes from growing up singing gospel music. So,
Right.
yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting.
For sure. But yeah, man, it's been good tonight, and hopefully some people. One more thing before we go, if you're about ready to go, and that is, I've been thinking a lot lately about. I've heard a lot of people do this thing where they say this or that, name two things and make you pick it. Somebody could even comment and tell me what's that officially called. There's probably a name for that. But I've been thinking about one lately, and I'm not going to tell you, why I'm asking you to pick. But if you hear these two groups called out, and no, it's not necessarily just because we're going to bring them to Fayette, Alabama, but I've just been wondering about this lately with people that's going to be listening to us. So I'm going to tell you two Southern gospel groups. And when you see this, I want you to put in the comments which one you'd pick if you had to pick one or the other. Okay. And that is the Primitive Quartet or the Chuck Wagon Gang. Y'all just think about that and just tell me, Primitive Quartet or Chuck Wagon Gang. I just want to know which one you pick.
If I could pick.
A lot of people probably say, I like them both. But yeah, I just wonder, would people say Chuck Wagon Gang first, or would they say Primitive Quartet first? I don't even know which one I'd say, but I'm just curious. So yeah, there's something
Well,
to
there's your
put in the
homework for
comments.
tonight.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So yeah, do that, and we'd appreciate that. But yeah, it's like I say, if you haven't noticed up in the right hand corner, this is the pre recorded version. We are recording this on Tuesday night and we'll play it back on Thursday night. So thank you to everybody who's joined us and made the comments. And hopefully we'll be back. But yeah, it's been a long day. And the old clock on the wall, as Roadhog used to say, says it's about 10:15. So Big Boy's ready to go
Mm,
lay down. So
I hear you. I
full
understand that.
disclosure. So
Understand that
I
for
could
sure.
stay here all night, but I'm not going to. So.
Yeah. Well, all righty. It's going to be good. We're anxious to talk again next week now, see what we come up with.
But we'll be back next time and may have a guest or two, may not. Just never know what's going to happen. But thank y'all so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time here on Champion Brothers, ChampCast, Bubba's Big Broadcast, or
Let's talk some Southern gospel.
good night, everybody.
See you.